So today we're on the Ashton line, we're just one stop away from the Etihad Stadium and the new Co-op Live Arena. It's one of those weird tram stops that's fairly quiet and it closes during events at Etihad Campus. But something you probably have noticed if you've waited for any length of time for a tram here, an out-of-service tram pulling into the Ashton platform over there, completely empty, carrying no passengers. And that's not really weird on its own until the driver switches ends and reverses the tram going the wrong way on the wrong track, and then you might start asking a few questions. Well, as we said, Velopark is just one stop away from Etihad Campus, where there are two major event venues. So obviously tram frequency needs to be higher, which is why there are two different tram routes that alternate during service hours, only going as far as Etihad Campus. They terminate at the outbound platform and then disappear into the tunnel over there, and at some point turn around and get back to Etihad Campus at the other platform. You might be able to see where this is going. Yes, after leaving Etihad Campus, weirdly, the completely empty tram travels all the way to the next stop, Velopark, and then reverses and travels back to Etihad Campus by using this siding here to cross back over to the correct track. Oh, I think this is the perfect time to explain. You'll notice that's a terminating tram as well, but it hasn't stopped at the platform. It hasn't gone all the way to the platforms at Velopark. And I think it's more common on single trams, because on double trams, you'll see at Sheffield Street, which is where the turnback is for Piccadilly, that drivers driving a double tram will have to get out of the tram on the front and get back in on the tram on the back, and that's how they reverse, because double trams aren't completely walk-through, but obviously single trams are. On the platform it's just much easier for the drivers to switch ends. Drivers don't have to climb down from the door to switch ends. Yeah, so on a double tram, drivers will go into the platform pretty much every single time. They still go into the platform on single trams sometimes, but occasionally, just then, they don't. And I found out recently that the turnback facility might be replaced soon, because you might be able to tell it's not the best, because when a tram is turning around, it basically just blocks the line, because the line goes further to Ashton on the line. So the tram basically just blocks the line until it's gone into the siding. So it's really not the best, and it limits how many trams can actually go to Etihad Campus and terminate there. Yeah, and I read somewhere that it might be replaced soon with a better facility that can support turnbacks more often. Now, usually across the network, these display boards making an estimate for when the tram's going to get here, usually they're locked on, that's what I like to say, locked on to the tram's location, so it goes off of the tram's location to figure out when it's going to get to a tram stop. But when you're at the end of a line, or at the end of a route, like Etihad Campus, they're not supposed to be locked onto the tram's location, they're supposed to be referring to the timetables, because obviously the tram is going to be completely still, it's going to be sitting still at a platform, or in this case, it's going to be sitting still in a siding for a while. But I think it's just happened whilst I turned my camera away. You'll notice that the Media City tram, which has just turned around, gone into the siding, has switched onto 1 minute, and it was on several minutes before. I can't remember what it was on exactly, because the system has made a mistake. It's supposed to be locked onto the tram timetables right now, but it's not. Once the tram gets into the siding at Velopark, it actually makes a mistake and switches onto the tram's location, and it thinks that the tram's about to get to the platform, but it's not. So the display shows 1 minute for quite a while. And now look, here's proof. It says that the Eccles tram is going to be the second one in, and the Media City tram is at the top. But I almost guarantee you the Eccles tram is going to get here first. And what do you know, it's going to Eccles. And then look, after all that, the Media City tram is still stuck on 1 minute. So you just have no idea when it's actually going to get here. Unless you of course know the timetables. And that's another thing that it sometimes does. That's just an automatic thing that the displays do when a tram is basically stuck in the same location for a while. It thinks that the tram is delayed, but it's not. Isn't that interesting? That's an issue that they have to fix. Hopefully they do fix it. There's a few other small details about Etihad Campus that I want to mention. It's the only tram stop that I know of that has display boards outside of the actual tram stop itself. Like, they're usually just on the platforms, but at Etihad Campus, for both platforms, there's a display board at the top of the staircase. You'll notice at Etihad Campus, the platforms are double width at 6 metres. They're normally 3 metres for Metrolink stops. And of course, that's to handle crowds during events. Once you leave the platforms though, take a look at the nice artwork covering the lift shaft, brightening up what would otherwise just be a metal box. And on your way up the 42 steps, yes I counted them, call me Jeff Marshall, read the famous quotes from famous Manchester bands, and the rest of the branding rolled out across the Metrolink network for the Brit Awards, which were held in Manchester just 2 weeks ago, though they might be taken down before this video goes out. Also, there's a slightly weird thing at Velopark that's very uncommon. There's 2 display boards on the same platform. Usually you only get 1 per platform, maybe 2 if you're lucky, at busier stations like Cornbrook, but why are there 2 at Velopark? Very weird. I forgot to mention that the National Cycling Centre is nearby to Velopark. I might bike back to Piccadilly Station actually. But there is why you might see an out-of-service tram arriving at Velopark. Subscribe if you like. Thanks for watching.